r/NoSleep. Posted by you/Avatarofhorror. If you hear footsteps in the darkness, run. I hear footsteps stalking me. They are getting closer and closer every day, and I need to tell someone. I was ecstatic I moved into my new home. It was a small ranch in a nice little subdivision that backed up to some woods, my first ever real home. Sure, it was a bit of a fixer-upper, but for the price I finally got what I felt was something I never thought I'd get. As I got settled in, I realized I was having trouble sleeping. The normal relaxing thought of my home and bed was instead starting to stress me out, though I didn't know why. I woke up every morning after dreaming of running as if I was being chased, feeling like my legs were exhausted. Probably about 2 weeks after moving in, I awoke in the middle of the night when I heard the creak of floorboards outside the bedroom. I blinked my eyes a few times, listening for a few seconds before putting my head back down. Another floorboard cracked as I sat up in bed. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears as nothing returned and laid back down. A thud, then another creak, and I jumped out of bed and slammed open my door to the dark hallway. "Hello?" I called out, hitting the switch outside of my room. As the lights came on, there was nothing. I walked around the house to make sure someone hadn't broken in, but everything was locked, all the windows were shut, and I was left with the assertion it must have been the house settling. I walked back to my room and shut off the light when I heard a creak of the floor behind me. I switched on the light again to see nothing. My pulse racing, I shut the door, locking it. I know I passed out from exhaustion at some point that night, but there were no other sounds despite me sitting up afraid. The next morning I was sitting dazed at work, thinking about the night before. I admonished myself for my childlike fear of essentially the darkness. Things are so much clearer in the day, and I felt ridiculous for being so panicked. The afternoon came around and I had made my way into the bathroom. I splashed water on my face as the fatigue was getting to me and touched the bags under my eyes in the mirror. As the water ran, the lights flickered and went out. I cursed as the autosensors probably triggered with me standing at the mirror. I waved my arms wildly, hoping to trigger it, but the bathroom remained pitch black. I heard a thud in a bathroom stall and called out, "Hey, is anyone else in here?" But no one responded. I turned, trying to find the door, but it wasn't there. It was a freaking bathroom. Why couldn't I find the door? It had a limited space. I ran my hands along the walls in the darkness frantically as I heard another thud on the tile floor, this time closer. If anyone is here, back the fuck off, but just the sounds of running water greeted me. The door had to be somewhere. Why couldn't I find it? Another thud, this time right behind me, and there was an icy feeling that shot from head to toes. I screamed. As I did, I blinked and the lights were now on, and 2 coworkers were standing at the bathroom door staring at me, screaming. "Are you okay?" One asked cautiously as I turned wide-eyed and scared. My breath labored. I pushed them aside and ran out as quickly as I could into the sterile corporate hallway. I leaned against the wall, literally grasping at it for support. My boss sent me home for the day when the coworkers complained. It sounded like they wanted to drug test me, but HR suggested I was having some emotional distress. Was I in fact going crazy? Was the incident in the bathroom in my head? I was so sure it happened. The vibrations of the thuds getting closer to me reverberated in me. How could that not have been real? But there I was in the end, screaming in a perfectly lit bathroom like a mental patient. Despite all that had happened, I was just so tired. I fell down on the couch in my living room and closed my eyes. When I awoke, it was night and my eyes couldn't pierce the darkness. I was so sure I left the lights on though. I got up from the couch to turn on the overheads, but the switches didn't bring illumination. I flipped them probably like 50 times, as if just doing it more would fix it. With exasperation, I made my way to the circuit breaker down the hall. I walked down the hallway and it seemed to stretch forever, an impossible length for a small one-floor ranch home. As I walked, I heard the sounds of footsteps behind me and my pace quickened. "It's in your head, it's in your head," I kept telling myself. The footsteps behind me grew louder as I walked into the choking darkness. I turned to look back, but there was only more darkness. I searched for a door to a room, but there were only endless walls. I pushed forward, hearing the weight of something chasing me. Running full speed, I felt like I was in quicksand, my legs unable to trudge forward in the inky darkness, while the sounds of something getting close to me clouded my mind. I hit the door in front of me hard as I was knocked backwards mid-stride. The thuds and creaks from the floorboards were overwhelmingly close. I grabbed the handle to the door and rushed inside, slamming it behind me. I pressed the full weight of my body against the door as the sounds of something scraping against the other side assaulted my ears. It raked against the door over and over in slashing sounds as whatever it was tried to get through. "Where was the damn fuse box?" I cried as the door thudded against the assault. On the other side of the room, the soft green glow of an electric bulb gave the faintest of illumination. With a deep breath, I dashed forward towards it as the door behind me began to give way. The metal hinges on the fuse box groaned as I opened it when I heard the door shatter into splinters as the thing chasing me broke through. A flip of a switch and the lights went on. I turned and for the briefest of seconds saw a dark mass covered in fur with antlers protruding from a skull-like visage, and then it was just gone. I blinked, the morning sunlight was shining through and I was on my couch. I shot up and scanned the room, but nothing was amiss. I rushed to the hallway, sure to find evidence of the struggle, but all the doors were closed and undisturbed. My head spun as I tried to process everything. Was it a dream? Was I truly going mad? I walked down to the room with the fuse box, certain the thing would be there, that the destroyed door would prove what happened, but there was nothing but a mundane room with beige carpeting and paint. I walked over to the fuse box, opening it and staring. Did I imagine everything? I was about to close it when I saw something, a speck of white. I leaned in closer to see an envelope stuffed behind the circuitry. It looked old, yellowed, and worn. I pulled it out and inside was a note, and it read as follows. The footsteps come. Once you hear them, they follow. Once you are followed, you will be hunted. Once you are hunted, the darkness will greet you. The footsteps come for me, and now they come for you. Run. The next story of this video. Posted by you/dancing. Ember. Fingers in the night. The man sat, slouched at the edge of his bed, too drunk to remember his own name. That's how he liked it. It made things more bearable. Like the shadowy fingers screeching as their nails dragged against the scrabbled insides of his closet. He grimaced. Come to get me, have you? Forgotten that it's not my turn anymore? The man pulled the bottle close for another swig. Gordon's brand vodka. Bottom shelf shit, barely good enough for the rats. His father's favorite brand. The man smirked as he half drowned himself with the nightcap. Gordon. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. Then came more scraping from the fingers. The man's breathing went shallow. He glanced sideways at the slide-shut closet. Darkness peered back at him through the crack in the door. No matter how hard he tried, he could never fully shut it. The door always snagged. He should call the repairman in the morning. What was his name again? Gordon, was it? His father would have made a good repairman. A shit father, but a good repairman. Each. That time he had seen it. Oh, he knew. He really did tonight. The fingers, more claw than flesh, had slipped briefly from behind the door, offering him a glimpse of memories he'd rather stay forgotten. Each. The man traced the lip of the bottle with his own fingers. It's your turn now. His head hung heavy. So shut up. But the fingers did not oblige. He drank again. Each. The man knew they wouldn't wait much longer. Those fingers were hungry. With every swipe he could see their nails flashing at him from the depths. Each. The scratching felt like it was coming from inside his chest. Each. Tearing at his organs. Each. With a vicious twist, he hurled his bottle against the closet door. Drink and glass scattered, burying themselves in the carpet as the door rattled against its railing. The man pounded across the floor towards the wailing fingers, barely registering the shards tearing at his arches. He shoved open the closet door so hard it came off the railing. There it was. The unmoving remains of Gordon Sr., barely held together by decaying connective tissue. Laid to rest in their family home. The man's home. Where he had spent childhood nights cowering in his own piss, praying Gordon wouldn't lift a finger that night. That the closet would be the worst of it. The man muttered. Well, look at us now. Moving slowly, so as not to disturb his father's body, the man picked up the closet door and coaxed it back onto its railings. He slid it shut, not quite all the way, like always, then crawled into bed. He closed his eyes and the last dregs of consciousness abandoned him. The night lay still as death. Until bony fingers reached out from behind the closet door. The sagging nails gripped the wood. One by one. Each.